Welcome back to our channel, where we keep you updated on the latest legal developments. Today, we're diving into a significant case involving former President Donald Trump and his claim to absolute presidential immunity. Let's break it down. Donald Trump has recently filed a petition with the United States Supreme Court, arguing that he deserves absolute presidential immunity for his actions related to the 2020 election. This comes as part of an appeal from a ruling by the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Special counsel Jack Smith is prosecuting Trump in a federal case in Washington, D.C., alleging that Trump attempted to overthrow the results of a free and fair election. The Supreme Court has granted certiorari, agreeing to hear oral arguments on the issue of absolute presidential immunity. Oral arguments are scheduled for April 25. Trump's legal team has filed their brief, followed by an opposition brief from special counsel Jack Smith. Additionally, amicus briefs from other parties are being filed. In his brief, Trump asserts that the election was tainted by extensive fraud and irregularities. However, this claim contradicts statements from his own advisors, including former Attorney General Bill Barr. Former Attorney General Bill Barr testified that investigating election fraud was necessary to ensure a peaceful transition of power. He debunked claims of widespread fraud pushed by Trump. Trump argues that without absolute presidential immunity, future presidents would be constantly tormented and susceptible to prosecution by political opponents. Trump's plea for immunity includes the notion of post office trauma, which many find absurd and emblematic of his refusal to accept accountability. Trump's continuous complaints and legal maneuvers reflect poorly on his character and the integrity of the presidential office. Contrary to Trump's claims, the government has functioned effectively without absolute presidential immunity. Trump's belief that he could order military action against political opponents highlights the danger of his authoritarian tendencies. We explore legal precedents such as Nixon v. Fitzgerald, which established limited presidential immunity in civil cases. Trump's failure to appeal the Blasingame case, where he was held accountable for inciting the January 6 insurrection, underscores the limits of presidential immunity. Trump misinterprets the concept of absolute presidential immunity to justify his actions, including those outside the scope of official duties. Trump's argument opens the door to extreme scenarios where a president could engage in criminal activities without consequence. Special counsel Jack Smith has countered Trump's claims, highlighting the dangers of granting unchecked immunity to presidents. Granting absolute immunity to presidents poses significant risks to democracy and the rule of law. Trump's attempt to expand the scope of presidential immunity reflects a misuse of legal doctrines for personal gain. We delve deeper into the concept of absolute immunity and its implications for presidential accountability. Trump's legal battles and attempts to evade accountability have shaped public perception of his presidency and character. The legacy of Trump's presidency includes his relentless pursuit of personal immunity at the expense of democratic principles. The Supreme Court's handling of Trump's petition will be closely scrutinized for its implications on presidential accountability. Legal precedents set in cases involving presidential immunity will have far-reaching consequences for future administrations. The case highlights a delicate balance between executive power and accountability in a democratic society. Trump's claims of immunity are refuted by legal experts and historical precedent. Ensuring accountability for presidential actions is essential for upholding the principles of democracy and the rule of law. The Supreme Court's decision in this case will shape the boundaries of presidential immunity and its implications for governance. The case has garnered significant public scrutiny, reflecting widespread interest in the accountability of public officials, including former presidents. Concerns about the erosion of democratic norms and the abuse of executive power transcend partisan divides, with members of both parties scrutinizing Trump's arguments for immunity. Civil society organizations have advocated for transparency, accountability, and the rule of law, emphasizing the importance of holding public officials accountable for their actions. The case has implications beyond the borders of the United States, with international observers monitoring the proceedings and assessing the impact on democratic governance worldwide. The case unfolds against the backdrop of historical precedents and constitutional principles that have shaped the balance of power between the executive branch and other branches of government. Interpreting the Constitution's provisions on presidential immunity requires careful consideration of textual language, historical context, and the framers' intent. The independence of the judiciary is essential for upholding the rule of law and ensuring that legal decisions are made impartially based on the merits of the case. The case underscores the importance of maintaining a separation of powers between the executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government to prevent abuses of authority. Accountability mechanisms, including legal recourse and congressional oversight, play a crucial role in holding presidents accountable for their actions while in office and after leaving office. Preserving public trust in democratic institutions requires transparency, accountability, and adherence to constitutional principles, regardless of political affiliation. As the case proceeds to oral arguments before the Supreme Court, we'll continue to provide updates and analysis on this channel. Thank you for joining us in exploring this critical issue of presidential immunity and its implications for our democracy. Stay informed, stay engaged, and remember to subscribe for future updates.